So I got into the field of positive psychology in the most wonderful way. I was a teacher, a first grade teacher in the Bronx in New York, and I had a lot of students with special needs. So I went back to school for a special ed, a master's in special education, and I used what I learned with my students, and it was wonderful. And then I had kids of my own. So I wanted to be home and raise my children, so I went back to school to become a certified life coach. And in my life coaching program, my favorite course was hands down positive psychology. So what is positive psychology? It is the study of happiness, the science of human flourishing. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I found out about a program at Penn, being the lifelong learner that I am, and I went back at 42 and got a master's in positive psychology. And it was kind of ironic because a book that I had read when I was in my 20s was called Learned Optimism by Martin Seligman, which was about how to take your own happiness into your hands. So here I was now, back in his program, because it was his baby at the University of Pennsylvania, in his program, studying with world-renowned researchers in the area of happiness. And I was like, wow, this is the greatest thing ever. But my goal in that program was to take what I was learning with all of this research and science and with these really brainy people and take it and make it accessible to as many people as possible. That's what I really wanted to do. So I remember many years ago reading the quote, "Give full, interested attention to everything that you do." And I was like, whoa, that is really cool. I can't even imagine that, giving full, interested attention to everything that I do. And that kind of like got me going on this path of like simplicity, just like really simplifying my mind. We all have so much going on in our heads, and I love the idea of giving full, interested attention. So, and I had read about meditation being so healthy and these wonderfully peaceful people that were doing it, and I said, there's something to this. So I actually started on my own little path, and I've been on many retreats. I've actually done a few silent retreats, 10 days of silence. And I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm a big talker. And for me not to talk for 10 days was pretty wild. I mean, I talk in the dentist's office. I'm in the chair and I'm still talking, but I was silent, you know, except for when we had to check in. We had groups a couple times. But you really become aware of your own mind and what you're thinking and where you go in your head. And it was wonderful. And then after that, I was like, okay, there's more to this. So I wound up finding the McLean Institute for Meditation. I became a certified meditation teacher. Again, back to that lifelong learner that I am. And I absolutely, you know, loved this program. And now I'm teaching meditation. And more than that, you know, I myself had on my to-do list, my New Year's resolution list for 20 years, maybe more, to meditate. So now I can honestly say that I have a meditation practice, and it's amazing. It has changed my life. And so I share that with other people because I know the value of what it's done for me. And one of the things that my teacher told me, and I never forgot this and I love this, was be ridiculously in charge of your attention. I mean, be ridiculously in charge of your attention. And that's not easy because we're often dwelling in the past or worrying about the future. Like that's where we are. So we're very rarely here right now. We're somewhere else. And what meditation does, it helps you bring your focus back to where you are. Because you're sitting, you're still, and you have an object of focus, whether it's your breath or a mantra, whatever it is, which is not that difficult. The difficult part is finding the time to sit. So when you're sitting, you're just constantly coming back. You're noticing that you're off in thought, and you just come back to the moment, to what you're focusing on, to your object of focus. Back, back, back. And I often say when I'm playing tennis or doing sports with my friends and maybe we have a bad shot, we're like, oh, and we get down on ourselves. I say, no, we begin again. We begin again. Every moment is a new beginning. And that's really what it is. And it's living like that. So it's pretty amazing to be able to have this gift, this tool in your pocket to be able to meditate. So I love sharing it and with everybody and anybody that wants to learn. So this book The Recipe for Real Happiness was an absolute labor of love. It went through many different versions, but I was very inspired by a book many years ago called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff. And what I loved about it was practices, things you could do. Like, I'm a woman of action. I don't want to read case studies and stories and this and that. Tell me, what do I need to do? Give me practices. So I actually created that book, and it's 4 simple ingredients, and then 10 practices for each, because I do believe it's all about habits and practices. You know, you could do something for a day or read something and be inspired, but if you don't actually live it and make a habit of it, then really, what is it? It's just something that you did. But if it becomes part of you, then it becomes part of you, and then you live it, and you live really on a different plane, actually. So the 4 ingredients. So the first one, I don't know if you can see this, but the first one is love. So it's love of self and love for others and kindness to others, because that really helps us feel good about ourselves. Certainly loving yourself is not an easy thing. We come into this world and we do love ourselves, and then the shit hits the fan. It's the family, and it's the friends, and the significant others, and school, and the media, and everything gets into our heads, and we just lose ourselves. So we really need to come back and love ourselves and take care of ourselves, and of course our minds and bodies. And then for other people, like, just being kind, showing acts of kindness actually does good for your own personal self, your hormones, the dose, your dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins flow when you do kindness for other people. So while we think, really we want other people to be kind to us, being kind to other people is even more beneficial than having people be kind to you. It's all a win-win. And then the second practice is gratitude. So living in a place of gratitude is like an insurance policy. And, my kids over the years, know me so well now. They'll be like, I know, Mom, it's a moment of gratitude. And I say that all the time. I just live in a place of gratitude. So whether it's, being grateful to be alive, whether it's being grateful to have a roof over our heads, food, family, health, for sure, everything, but also just having that practice, as simple as this, like if I forgot something, and then if I go to the dishwasher and I need a pot, and I have the last pot and I'm about to run my dishwasher, I'm so happy that I have that one last pot. And that came to me from having an incredible gratitude practice. It sounds so simple, but it's a place of living. And you're just constantly going to, wow, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And it makes you feel amazing. And it spreads. It's your energy changes when you feel that way. And the third practice is mindfulness. And that is like, just, again, coming back to the present moment. So I say to people, anyway, you can just turn to any page in the book and there's something on it for you. So for example, let's just say for mindfulness, I'm going to turn to this page. Oh, this is a good one. Leave your baggage behind. So it's like just, carrying around your stuff, your past. We all have a past. I'm going to go off on a tangent a little bit here and share with you about that, because one of the books that I'm going to recommend to you is about letting go of your baggage. We all have a past. Some of us have a tote bag. Some of us have a carry-on. Some of us have a suitcase, and some of us have a steamer trunk. But the truth is, we don't need to schlep that baggage around with us everywhere we go. Yes, it is part of us, but there are ways to manage your mind, to put the past in the past, and be free to live your life now, here, now. Number 4 is learning. So learning is really that everything that happens, like if you're in a challenging situation, rather than being bogged down, taken down by the situation, stop and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What is it about the situation that I can learn from so that I don't do that again? And what can I take from this? And just having that mindset is freeing also, because you don't have to know everything. You can learn at any time, always. Wow, that's a great question. How do I disconnect? Well, first of all, disconnecting is so important, especially now, because everywhere you turn, everybody is either looking down, walking on their phone, and I'm accused of that sometimes too, trust me, or, on their Apple Watch. So it's like at any minute, they are just they're taken away from whatever they were doing. And it's kind of hard actually to be with people sometimes when that happens. So I'm conscious, and I try to be conscious of actually having my phone and using it when I use it and putting it away when I'm not using it. That's the phone piece. I also think it's really important to go inside and to disconnect in a way with meditation. So that's a disconnect as well, like to just be still. You know, I love this quote: even a cloudy glass of water becomes clear when it's still. So I love that. Like, and sometimes I will feel, you know, like, you know, you feel like that rush or that buzz, that energy of just being wherever, and like I will just like say, okay, I need to stop, just sit down, and I will connect to my breath. And I encourage clients as well to just sometimes just stop and feel your breath going in and out of your body. Notice it. You know, your breath is your 24/7 drug that you have in your pocket, your breath. So I feel like giving yourself a tech break. Like I love the practice of Shabbat, where people actually disconnect really. They don't take the elevators, they don't use the phones or the television or any appliances, whatever. I mean, that seems a little much for me, but the idea of just disconnecting in that way is just so beautiful because it's so natural, and we need that. We've gotten away from all of that. So I think it's important for us all to kind of give ourselves the goal of disconnecting in whatever way, maybe little increments. You know, you're not gonna just maybe all of a sudden do something major, but you can just slowly, little bit here and there. Maybe check your phone a couple times less a day, right? And if you're with somebody, be with that person. You know, don't keep looking at your watch or your phone. That's a suggestion that I have, how I use my, you know, how I disconnect. And then I also have self-care rituals. Like, it's really important to me. Like, first of all, I love to read things that I can learn from that inspire me. And I think this is a great book I'm just going to share with you. It's called The Awakened Brain, The Psychology of Spirituality, because I think that's probably going to be the next thing that I really want to look into and study as the lifelong learner, is how spirituality can really help people. So I think that's really important. So I disconnect sometimes by just reading, my self-care rituals. I love my Epsom salts. I love cold plunge. I love sauna. And just being with myself, being alone, being still really helps me to disconnect. So when I was a little girl, we used to come down to Florida to visit my grandparents in Surfside. And I remember the first time, it was a long time ago, but I remember looking up and seeing a palm tree and a coconut in the palm tree. And I was like, oh my God, a coconut in a palm tree. And I just loved it. And the beach was right there. And they used to have this gum in crates, like this orange gum. And I associated all of that with Florida, and I loved it so, so much. I wound up coming back here to school. I came to college down here, and I loved it. And then I thought I was gonna live down here, but we wound up moving back to New York. And then now I'm actually back here, and I have a home in Williams Island, and I love it so much. It's really a paradise. We play pickleball and tennis and cold plunge, and it's just so much fun. And I've made so many wonderful friends, and I love being in Miami. Miami is such a home for me, and it always will be, and I will never forget that first palm tree that I ever saw. And now, even when the plane is landing and I see those palm trees, I get so excited every single time. My favorite podcast is the Mo News, which is actually my son-in-law, Moshe Wanunu. And he really does deliver the news on Instagram in an unbiased, factual way. So he was a CBS News producer, and he started his own, he's a journalist, and he is, you know, now started his podcast, and it's wonderful because it just gives you the news without all the fluff and all the biases, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful podcast. So I love my Mo News. I love the book, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. It's amazing, and I mentioned before about letting go of your past. It really is about untethering yourself from your past, and I think that's so important because so many people feel defined by what's happened to them in their lives. And I get it, but it doesn't have to be that way. And I thought that was an awesome book. And I also love the book, love the book, The 4 Agreements. I think that's just like a Bible for anybody. I'm not going to go into what it is, but it's a great book, 4 Agreements. And I also love the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. He's a Holocaust survivor. And this book is really, you'll see why I'm recommending it, but it's really about how where your mind goes can either help you or hurt you. And that's really what all of this is really about, is just taking care of and nurturing your mind.